if I would come and introduce her tonight to make a special announcement to y'all. And y'all, I was going to say last year, a little over a year ago, when James Smith and I were traveling the state and campaigning for governor, lieutenant governor, there were people, candidates running for various offices throughout the state who would show up and be kind of rah-rah and help us and everything. But there are people who seek the spotlight, and there are people who shine the spotlight on others. And every time we came to this area, there was someone who was always there, making sure that folks knew not just that she was running, but that we were running too. And there was nobody in South Carolina who did more for other people's campaigns, even though she was a candidate herself, than Vickie Holt. And I am just so honored that she asked me to come and introduce her tonight for her to make her special announcement to you. I'm not gonna make it for her, but let's welcome and thank Vickie Holt.
Thank you, Eileen, for letting me have this time, and please do hold up that big T, because I promised I wouldn't go over 7 minutes, and the first thing I don't want to break a promise the very first day of saying running for office. I think that would be bad form. I have run before, so some of you are slightly familiar with me, but this time I'm running for Senate District 15. Just a couple of news items. You realize that 2020 is the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage. Woo! 100 years. Are in the state Senate of South Carolina? 4. Hey, we need to change that number. We really need to change that number. We need to add another Democrat to that number. I think you may know from my last campaign, I'm very big in pro-education. I believe that there should be smaller classrooms. I think that teachers should be paid much better. I think that instead of arming teachers with guns, as my opponent wants to do, we need to arm them with psychologists and counselors and people that recognize the seeds of bullying, the seeds of what makes people come back 4 years later and become a shooter. Because when there's a lockdown and there's a shooter in a schoolroom or a schoolhouse, they don't ask for party affiliation. And we need to change and make sure that our children and our children's children are safe in the classroom. I'm also, as you can see, a woman, ta-da, that I really believe that women's pay equality is important. I think that South Carolina drags behind in that, while being on other lists that we shouldn't be very proud of. Right now, in the state of South Carolina, we are 44th in protecting women from domestic violence. We don't want to be there. We need to make sure not only families are safe, we have to make sure through common sense gun laws that no loopholes exist, and we have to make sure that one of those loopholes about the fact that unless it's your spouse or your domestic partner, you know what? A boyfriend who gets angry at his friend, even though they're not living together, can be just as deadly, and that has to change. We have to make that change. So, like I say, I do believe in common sense gun legislation. Oh, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little pumped. I also really hope that I'll be able to co-sponsor and support legislation to improve all health care, not just women's reproductive health care, but the availability of health care in hospitals for veterans, for people that are now retired and don't have the benefits of their private insurance the way they once had. And that's doable. It's all doable. I also believe that we should have some sort of tweaking to the fact that state senators can appoint judges simply because they've been very large donors to their campaigns with sometimes little or no law experience or on the bench whatsoever. And these are just the things. I do have a limited time, so I don't want to go over that. But my website and my ActBlue page and social media pages should be up by the end of the week. I want to thank you once again, and I do have some donation slips, and I did look this up, and I think that this could be really easy for everybody to do. The most you can contribute as an individual to a state senate campaign is $1,000. So if you want to go ahead and make that donation, then you won't get these phone calls from me and this quivering voice saying, "Hi, it's Vickie Holt," because as my former campaign manager Ryan Hubbard can tell you, that's the thing I like least to do, is call and ask people for money, but I'm getting bolder about that. So I do have a volunteer sign-up sheet. I do have donation slips that you can, if you want to put down a commitment and your email address, we will try to, bother you as little as possible, but we will indeed bother you. And I want to thank Mandy again. I really found a friend and a soulmate and feel like I want to work with her. And I think that we are powerful women and we have righteous causes, and I want to be the fifth female senator in South Carolina, and I hope you'll help me get there.